People always say, be kind to everyone. You never know who's watching. But that night, a group of wealthy men forgot that rule. They mocked a quiet waitress for her simple clothes and gentle voice, laughing loud enough for the whole restaurant to hear. What they didn't know was that the woman they were humiliating wasn't just any waitress. She was the wife of the man who owned the entire restaurant they were sitting in. And when her husband found out what happened, he didn't just fire them as customers. He taught them a lesson they would never forget. The dinner rush at La Vella Bistro was in full swing. Golden lights glowed warmly against polished wood, the faint sound of jazz floated in the air, and the scent of roasted garlic and butter filled the room. Behind the counter, Mia, a 32-year-old waitress, moved quietly between tables with a tired but sincere smile. Her apron was faded, her hair tied in a messy bun, and her shoes had seen better days. Yet, there was something soft and genuine in her voice that made even strangers feel seen. But not everyone noticed that. At a corner booth sat three men in expensive suits, regulars who came in almost every Friday. They were loud, confident, and careless with their words. Their names were Dylan, Mark, and Ethan, executives from a nearby tech firm. They treated the restaurant like their playground, tossing napkins, calling out jokes, and treating the staff like props in their nightly show. When Mia approached with her notepad, her voice gentle, "Good evening, gentlemen. What can I get started for you tonight?" Dylan smirked without even looking up. "Well, look who it is," he said, raising an eyebrow. "Didn't know this place hired charity cases now." The others laughed. Mia froze for a second but kept her composure. "Would you like to hear the specials today, sir?" she asked softly, pretending not to hear the insult. But the men weren't done. Mark leaned back, twirling his wine glass. "Tell me something," he said with a teasing tone. "How much do waitresses make these days? Enough to buy a decent pair of shoes." He pointed at her worn sneakers and grinned. Ethan added, "Maybe she's saving up for better ones. You know, once she finds a husband who can afford her." Their laughter echoed across the restaurant. A couple at the next table glanced up uncomfortably. A young busboy looked like he wanted to say something, but Mia subtly shook her head, silently asking him not to interfere. Her hands trembled slightly as she wrote down their order, her eyes fixed on her notepad. "I'll get that right out for you," she said, then turned away before they could see her tears. In the kitchen, Chef Leela, an older woman who adored Mia, noticed her red eyes. "Sweetheart, did they say something again?" she whispered, wiping her hands. Mia smiled weakly. "It's fine, Leela. They're just being themselves." But inside, it wasn't fine. Mia had worked hard to rebuild her life after years of struggle. She had grown up poor, worked 3 jobs through college, and had finally found peace in her marriage to Daniel. But she never told anyone at work who Daniel really was. She preferred being treated like everyone else, just a regular person earning her keep. Because Daniel was the owner of La Vella Bistro. Daniel excused himself gently from Maya's side and walked toward the table, every eye in the restaurant following him. His voice remained calm but carried a weight that silenced the air. "Gentlemen," he began, "I understand you've been regular customers here. I hope our service has been satisfactory." Dylan forced a smile. "Of course, Mr. Rivera. Love this place, always great service." Daniel nodded. "Good to hear." He paused, then looked directly at Mia. "And my wife, did she serve you well tonight?" The table went dead silent. Ethan's fork froze mid-air. Mark's face turned pale. Dylan's mouth opened but no sound came out. "Wife," he stammered. Daniel crossed his arms. "Yes, Mia, the woman you mocked. The woman you laughed at for working hard, wearing old shoes, and treating you with more respect than you ever deserved." The restaurant had gone completely quiet. Even the music seemed to fade into the background. Every staff member had stopped to listen. Daniel leaned slightly closer. "You know, I built this restaurant from nothing. I started as a dishwasher. I worked nights, cleaned floors, and slept in my car. When Mia met me, I had nothing. She didn't care about money. She believed in me when no one else did." He looked each of them in the eye. "And now, she chooses to work here, not because she has to, but because she loves people. She believes kindness matters more than titles or wealth. Something you clearly forgot." The 3 men sat frozen, shame flooding their faces. The other diners looked at them with silent judgment. Daniel straightened up. "You're welcome to finish your meal. On the house. After that, I'd prefer if you didn't return." I won't tolerate anyone who disrespects my staff or my family." He turned to leave but paused. "And one more thing," he said over his shoulder. "Next time you decide to measure someone's worth, try using your heart, not your wallet." Mia stood at a distance, her hand over her mouth, tears streaming silently. She hadn't wanted revenge, but hearing Daniel speak, seeing him defend her dignity, filled her with warmth she couldn't describe. As the men left, heads bowed, one of them muttered an apology to Mia. She simply nodded and said, "I hope you have a better night." The restaurant slowly returned to life. Applause erupted from a few tables. Chef Leela winked at Mia from the kitchen. Daniel walked back to his wife and whispered, "You shouldn't have to face that alone."